Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk. Summer is a truly magical time of year, and yes, I just checked, I am the first British person to have ever said that. The sun is shining, it's hot outside, and every day feels like it's bursting with opportunities ready to be seized. And I'm ready to seize them. Picture this, it's 2006. I don't even need to finish that sentence, you know damn well what you were doing. The Nintendo Wii was a huge departure from what could be considered normal, not just for a Nintendo system, but a video game console in general. Check it, we've got a sleek and simple design, we've got newfangled motion controls, and we've got a brand new controller that looks like a penis. I never said it was a healthy penis. The Wii brought motion controls to the masses. Sure, they existed before this console released, but mice also existed before Mickey. It's true, but who the f*** cares? We know in hindsight that this console would end up being a mega successful phenomenon, but at the time, Nintendo really had to prove to the world why they should want to humiliate themselves just to play Mario Party. Because being caught playing this isn't embarrassing enough on its own. So, let's brainstorm. If you had the task of selling a system where you're required to move more than just your thumbs to people who like Call of Duty and Mountain Dew, what kind of game would you make to help with that? Wrong, 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 wrong. Perfect! Wii Sports, released on the Xbox Wii on December 8th, 2006 here in the UK. Man, if you were walking the earth in 2006, no matter how old you were, you recognized this legendary title theme. Unless you're Amish. Everybody on the planet knows Wii Sports, has played Wii Sports, and has broken either a Wii remote or a TV as a result of that. Yeah, unless you're not a fucking imbecile. In which case you broke both. Now, as someone who has a pulse, I have a lot of fond memories and nostalgia tied to this game. The Wii was my first, and for a long time, only console, and it was damn near impossible to buy one and not own this game. It was the pack-in game for basically the system's entire life. The only way you could really avoid it was with the various limited edition bundles the system got. So it makes a lot of sense that this game ended up selling 82 million units, making it the 4th best-selling game of all time. But something I've always wondered is, why? Yes, we all have a fond memory or two with this game, but let's not deny the fact that Wii Sports was a fad. A game that everybody had to try out because everybody had to try it out. Does our collective attachment to this game stem from us all being swept up in the craze? Or does this game hold up and remain fun in a world where Pikmin 3 exists? Because I guarantee you, this was not considered in their development plan. Now, officially, Wii Sports is a sports simulation game, because when I play tennis, I always leave my arms at home. We all know that this game is basically a sports-themed minigame collection, featuring 5 entire sports to mess around with. Before we do that though, we need to set up a profile, because you can never have too many alibis. The game requires the use of Mii's, which alongside the controls, were another of the Wii's core innovations. This system had a lot going for it, didn't it? Right off the bat, this makes Wii Sports more interesting than 95% of sports games to me, as instead of controlling a character like a Mario or a FIFA, I'm controlling a Rawk. I know it's like way past old news at this point, but I enjoy that fun little extra bit of immersion. Whenever I f*** up in baseball, I get to look at the screen and say, yeah, I did this. The 5 sports on offer in this package are tennis, baseball, bowling, golf, and boxing. And I'm gonna dedicate the rest of my life to playing them. I am due to die before sundown, but that's not important. What is important is the triumphant return of my leveling Banjo-Kazooie 5-point scale. It's about fucking time these two things were used in the same sentence. Wrist strap, fastened. Hands, engaged. Me. Let's play some fucking tennis! The setup here is pretty simple. Matches are always doubles matches, which is honestly kind of weird, but whatever. And you swing the Wii remote like a tennis racket, whilst trying to score as many points as possible. At first, I found it pretty jarring to be controlling both of the characters on my side of the net, as this feels like a workaround for when you have 3 players in the game to try and even things out, rather than the default way the game is played. But I got used to it really quickly, and honestly found it to add an extra layer of fun. Your characters move automatically here. You can influence it a bit by tilting the Wii remote, but for the most part, it's out of your hands. And the motion controls for swinging the racket work really well in my experience. I never found myself thinking, okay, and just how the f did you end up over there? It was never 100% flawless, but with motion controls from 2006, that's kind of to be expected. And outside of the controls, the game is just really damn fun. It was so addictive, especially when I was on a streak of just kicking ass. The more you play tennis, the higher the skill level of the opponent will be, and the same is true for all of the games that have opponents. And this can lead to some genuinely intense matches. I think one of my favorite things to do was return a rally with the player closest to the net. I don't know why, but there was something so satisfying, yet also mischievous feeling about hitting the ball back as soon as it crossed the net. It was great. My one singular complaint with tennis in this game is that it really hurt my wrist after a while. But A, the game wasn't really meant to be played for half an hour at a time, and B, the game wasn't made to be played as intensely as I played it. Baseball in this game is like baked beans. Uncomplicated, inoffensive. Nobody would be bitter enough to complain about baked beans. You're damn fucking right I would. I'm so bad at baseball! Much like tennis, you swing the Wii remote to swing the bat, and I just could not hit this goddamn ball! You get to play as both the batting team and the fielding team here, which gives the gameplay a lot of variety. Playing as the fielding team basically boils down to throw ball, which can get a bit repetitive if the opposing team are on a streak of hitting, but you do have at least some power to try and prevent them from doing so. When I was able to hit the ball, literally at all, this game was a ton of fun. Having a me on all 3 bases and hoping to God that I get a home run and nab myself 4 points, hitting the ball and waiting eagerly to see if one of the fielders manages to catch it or not. The game just gave me such a buzz. But when I couldn't hit the ball, man, it just made me sad. Ah, bowling, the golden child. I think it's pretty unanimously agreed upon that bowling is the best sport in the package, and for good reason. Much like its real-life counterpart, I could play bowling forever in this game and still not get bored. There's just something so satisfying about the controls here. Lining up the perfect shot and flinging your Wii remote to put as much power behind your throw as possible. It's so much fun! There is nothing quite as invigorating as getting a strike in this game, and nothing as soul-crushing as getting a 0. At least in my experience, bowling here offers a precision that its real-life counterpart doesn't, which makes stuff like spares feel earned, which makes them all the more satisfying, and it also makes trying to get one in the first place a lot more involved. Same with strikes. The game claims that by twisting your wrist while you throw, you can add some spin to the ball, but I was never able to do that successfully. Also, of all of the games in the package, this is by far the one that feels the most lacking in single player. Don't get me wrong, it's still a blast, trying to refine your approach and top your own personal high score, but it definitely doesn't have as much replay value as it does in multiplayer. But hey, if the ball ends up behind you, this happens. Enough said. Golf in this game is the definition of serenity, and it's also the definition of Rawk isn't very good at this. This sport definitely feels like the trickiest one to master, as you really have to familiarize yourself with how strongly you need to swing the remote in order to get the ball to travel the appropriate distance. This is indicated by this bar at the side of the screen, which is replicated on the map to give you a feel for the correlation between power and distance. But if you swing too hard, then the bar will turn red and swing quite dramatically to either the left or the right, which will in turn cause the ball to do the same thing. So you have to be really careful not to overshoot. It feels like there's a lot of skill involved, but it also feels like improving your performance isn't just a game of chance. Now, the motion controls here can be a bit hit and miss. There were times when I did a practice swing at the exact right strength, and then I swear, I did the exact same thing, but apparently I just put way too much power into it, which caused the ball to piss off in the wrong direction. Also, when you're closer to the hole, you'll naturally want to put a lot less power into your shots. And I found that the game really struggled to register more minute movements as swings. There were a fair few times where I wanted to put the bare minimum power behind a swing, but because my movement wasn't dramatic enough, the game didn't even recognize it as a swing. It's definitely something I'm able to work around, but it's also something I feel I shouldn't have to work around. And it affects my gameplay more often than I would like it to. But other than that, golf is a fantastic addition to the package. I just wish I could enjoy the controls more than I do. And finally, boxing. My most toxic relationship. I absolutely adore boxing in this game, but I fucking despise the controls. This is the only game in the package that requires the nunchuck, which felt pretty jarring, but is more than justified, as this allows you to punch with each hand separately. This leads to a lot of strategy, figuring out how best to time each hand's punches, the direction and angle of each punch, when to bring both hands in front of your face to block, and when to combine a block with a sideways movement to actively dodge incoming fists. It's such a fun game. But it is by far the game that I had the most control issues with. The punches I threw were really inconsistent in terms of whether or not they actually registered. They'd either not be thrown at all, or be thrown in the complete wrong direction. I tried to aim for my opponent's torso, and that would be registered as me swinging next to their head, which honestly led me to just throwing out punches at random and hoping for the best. It's such a shame, because I love the rhythm of this game. I love playing it, but the controls just hold it back way too much for me. I'm honestly really impressed. I thought that objectively, maybe only one or two of these sports would actually hold up. But man, every single sport on offer here was a blast to play. And sure, the controls weren't perfect in some cases, but I was still able to have a great time in spite of that. And the 5 main sports aren't even all the game has to offer, as each of the sports also has 3 training modes. These are here to help refine your strategy and skills within different areas of each sport. And I'd also argue that this is where your single player replay value comes from. Training mode has a medal system, where you can earn bronze, silver, and gold medals depending on your performance in each of the 15 modes. And nabbing a gold can be really tricky. I didn't personally feel inclined to go for the gold medals in all of these, but if you do, you'll be a goddamn champion in these sports, which to me proves that there's a lot more nuance and skill involved in this game than people give it credit for. Wii Sports holds up tremendously well. That's obviously because the sports themselves and the surrounding gameplay are expertly crafted with fun and replayability in mind. But one other contributing factor that I don't feel gets nearly enough praise is the sound design. I cannot fathom how this game sounds so good, man. And I'm not even talking about the music, which in and of itself is spectacular. I'm just talking about the sound effects. The ball hitting your racket in tennis, the sounds of the pins in bowling, the sheer ambience of the stadiums in both boxing and baseball, the gentle sounds of nature behind the swing of your club in golf. It bored as on therapeutic. The sound design here offered me a layer of immersion that I was not anticipating from this game, which I think contributed massively to my enjoyment with it. Wii Sports is proof that simplicity isn't a bad thing. It's not the deepest game in the world by any means, but it offers a unique fun that I don't think will ever get old. Also, this game includes Wii Fitness. But that's a whole other discussion entirely.